this episode, it's all about old versus new cruise ships and which ones actually give you a better experience. Because each year the cruise lines keep launching billion-dollar ships. They get bigger, flashier, more attractions, more restaurants, in fact more everything. And yet each time we're told the same thing, the newer ones are the best yet, and those older ones, well, they're practically obsolete. But are they? Are they really? Because despite what the cruise industry might say, the older ones, the classic ones, remain hugely popular. 2 years ago, we were aboard Azamara. Their ships are 25 years old and have a huge following. Last year, we were on Crystal, who have 2 ships, again incredibly popular, and always topping the repeat booking statistics for customer satisfaction. Those are both at the luxury end of the scale, so are there ships in the more affordable mid-market that also give you that classic feel? Yes, such as this one, the Celebrity Millennium. 26 years old, yet frequently named as one of the most loved ships celebrities ever built, and it's still operating. Keen to see what it has and to test out this old versus new theory, we just spent 12 nights aboard, experiencing everything from top to bottom, living with it, testing it, and ultimately answering one very simple question. Should we forget the hype of these new ships and appreciate that the cruise industry built some of their very best experiences 25 years ago? Let's find out. You're watching the Ritzy Travel Guide. Welcome back to the Ritzy Travel Guide. My name is Bill, and it's great to have you along with us. This video is all about the fascinating state of the cruise market, and old versus new, and where smaller, older ships fit in. Because over the last decade, the cruise industry has become obsessed with new ships. Bigger ships, more attractions, more technology, more innovation. And to be fair, many of those things are genuine improvements. Celebrity is also at it. Over the last few years, they've invested billions of dollars into their stunning Edge-class ships. They are modern, they are innovative, and packed with features. Yet a couple of their ships, their oldest ones, from a completely different era, refused to disappear. So when an opportunity came along to book the Millennium, their oldest ship came up, we pounced on it. Firstly, because it was for a fascinating itinerary, more on that later, and secondly, because it went through quite a modernization 7 years ago, what they call the Revolution program. It was a major refurbishment designed to modernize much of the ship while still preserving the character that made these vessels popular in the first place. But can Celebrity's oldest ships compare and compete with their latest Edge class? We've been on both, and at the end of this video, we will be running a direct comparison between the Millennium class, against the Edge class, and tell you which one we personally prefer. As with all our ship reviews, our coverage will be in 2 parts. This is the first, the full review. We'll show you everything from top to bottom. I'll show you the restaurants, the pools, the decks, the cabin we chose, the nightlife, and the entertainment. Video 2, coming up after this, is what we call the Cruise Diary. This is the behind-the-scenes look at what you can get up to day by day, what we did, the highs and the lows, the bits that make you laugh. It is often the most popular edition we put out. I'll also show you where we went on this cruise, and it was an absolute stunner. This itinerary is one of the most popular that any of the cruise lines are offering right now. Right, onto the ship we go. As ever, we'll be as honest and fair as we can. Let's start with the look and the feel. Are we ready for a little bit of celebrity? In fact, we're getting aboard their oldest ship in the fleet, the Millennium, 26 years old. Have you noticed anything odd about the back of these Millennium class ships? Look, complete dead end. It's like somebody took a knife and went chop. It's almost as if the designer, the architect, said, oops, we've run out of budget, we've no more money, we shan't finish the back of the ship. Chop! Samurai sword. Chop. End of the ship. No more. It's a mid-class ship, not too many around these days, just 2,000 passengers. It can be a lot more cozy. So it's a little bit of excitement, isn't there, when you step aboard, go up the gangplank, see what's going on. Here we go with the central atrium, the heartbeat of the ship. This is how most cruise ships used to look back in the day, at the turn of the century. Millennium is a typical example of this, with a big sweeping feature staircase, many of the bars and lounges all clustered around it. And as the ship spends most of its time in Asia, it has Japanese and Asian decor dotted around. These days, mega ships look like a shopping mall. Here it's more intimate is the word I would use, because Millennium does come from a different era where people pause, have a coffee, catch up with friends. During the voyage we found ourselves often pausing here, sitting down, watching the world go by. And the 2019 Revolution refurbishment has clearly helped, because much of the ship feels fresh, modern and well maintained. And something that older ships really do well is this: they came from an era where you could see outside. Now, I know that sounds a bit strange, but many modern ships don't let you look out. Not here, views are front and centre, where they should be. It's social and it's a natural gathering point. Later on, when I show you the entertainment, I'll show you the bars and lounges around this part of the ship, because the atrium really does come alive. As we go through this review, I'm going to score each section out of 10. And for this, I'm going to give the look and feel a solid 8 out of 10. So off to a reasonable start. Let's see if it continues so well in our other categories. We'll now take a look outside, up top. Right, let's now show you the pools and decks. And here's a surprise. This is where Millennium really shines. I say a surprise because often people think older cruise ship pools will be run down or dull. Not so here. The main pool area is very sizable and sensibly laid out. Indeed, surprisingly spacious, trumping many other newer ships for poolside capacity. The pool's in the middle, hot tubs around it, rows and rows of loungers. It's not revolutionary, it's not gimmicky, but actually that's rather the point. It works. There are spaces to sit and relax. The solarium is another good example. This is a covered indoor pool area under a glass roof. It's welcoming and it gives you that quieter, calmer retreat. It is a useful space. Many other cruise companies charge extra for access to a solarium. Here it is included in the cruise fare. This is one of my absolute favourite spots here on these Millennium class ships. It's the solarium. And you know why it's in our top 10? Because it's complimentary, it's included in the price. These older style ships were much more fair with your money back in the day. They hadn't really started nickel and diming you like they had now, because increasingly on new ships these days you can't get it free, it's tucked behind a paywall. And up on the higher decks, Millennium also has the rooftop terrace and an outdoor movie screen area with lounges and a relaxed open air feel. Then at the back, you have one of our favourite areas. This is the open aft deck behind the buffet. Outdoor tables, open air, with a proper wake view. Spaces like this give a ship atmosphere. It gives it life. And for the pools and decks, I'm going to score it 9 out of 10. Because there's loads of space, the pools are big, several hot tubs, and there's both these indoor and outdoor facilities. There's no obvious weak link here. Still to come in this video, we show you our cabin, plus all of the dining options aboard. Should we now take a look at the lounges and bars aboard? Because there are some good ones. One thing Celebrity has traditionally done well is bars and lounges, and Millennium does continue that. Let's start right at the top of the ship. One of our favourite spaces on board, you'll find the observation lounge. Now, I do have a soft spot for venues like this, and the observation lounge stretches right across the front of the ship, giving you spectacular panoramic views out. During the day, you'll find quizzes, games, and activities taking place. It also hosts cocktail events, gatherings, and the captain's cocktail party. In the evening, it transforms into a secondary entertainment venue with live music, dancing, and silent discos. And on one evening was a rather lively production called Sizzle. Let's just say that particular show, quite late, seemed remarkably effective at keeping certain members of the audience fully alert and paying close attention. For us, this is exactly what a good observation lounge is all about. Lower down in the center of the ship brings us to another celebrity institution, the Martini Bar. And if you sailed on Celebrity before, you already know what's coming, because this isn't just a bar, it's one of the social hearts of the ship. It's positioned right alongside the central atrium and creates a fantastic atmosphere throughout the whole of the ship. There's live music and people gather here before dinner and afterwards. Then every evening at around 8 o'clock, the bar staff put on one of Celebrity's best-known traditions. It's a martini show with performing bartenders and plenty of cheering from the crowd. For a few minutes, half the ship seems to gather around to watch. And that's exactly why this works. It's fun, it's social, and you might even score a cocktail. So for the bars and lounges, we're going to give the Millennium an impressive 9 out of 10. Not because the bars are the flashiest at sea, but because they're vibrant, well-used, and genuinely helped create the atmosphere that makes this little ship feel special. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please do give it a like, give it a thumbs up, as it lets us know we're on the right track, and we'll try to put out more of this type of material. So far, so good with what we've covered for the Millennium. In fact, you might think we're being slightly over-complimentary or a bit soft. Well, let's see if that continues with the rest of the ship. Let's put a spotlight on entertainment. Because this is and always has been one of the more important parts of a cruise. And this is where older ships might struggle. Well, right away, I've got some good news for you. The theatre itself is great. It's an impressive venue. You might not have thought that for an old ship, but it really is. It has quite the impact for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a sizable facility, much bigger than you might expect, which is important because many cruise ships these days can't fit everyone in. This one does. We particularly like that ships of this era have little tables, perfect for putting your drinks on. The waiters come round and serve you. In fact, it makes the theatre feel more like an upmarket lounge. Here, it's more elegant, it's more premium. As for the entertainment they put on, well, I think it was reasonably good. It was nothing groundbreaking, nothing that was going to redefine cruise entertainment. It was consistently enjoyable throughout the voyage. The singers and the dancers were strong, and production shows were enjoyable. And one thing that surprised us was the inclusion of aerial performances, which added a little something different to the evening programme. We came away impressed with the theatre. Would I put it ahead or matching the Celebrity Edge? Well, no, not quite, because those ships undoubtedly have the advantage when it comes to technology and production values. But at no point did we feel the Millennium Theatre left us feeling shortchanged. We look forward to going there most evenings, and that's the important test. How are we going to score it? I think for entertainment, we're going to give the Millennium a very respectable 8 out of 10. It's comfortable, well designed, and has a good atmosphere. Right, should we take a look at the dining aboard? Because there's lots to show you. We're going to talk about all of the outlets in turn, including the speciality, the suite dining, the casual, and the buffet. Let's start first with the main dining room, because on any ship this has to be done right, because it's where you'll be a lot of the time. Here we go, and it's a great looking facility. On ships back in the day, a huge emphasis was placed on exactly this part. This is where the Millennium feels very much like traditional cruising. The venue itself is quite impressive, vaulted ceilings, and a sense of occasion that many cruise lines are gradually moving away from. The 2019 refurbishment helped here. We also quite liked the oversized, high-back chairs. They were quite fun. So let's go through some of the food we were served in there so you can get a feel for it.
We're in this very cosy table for two with huge chairs.
Steak, Diane.
And ta-da! What have we got? I forgot what I ordered. Trout. That's what I ordered.
We have a seared tuna. Duck à l'orange, and that is a big portion of duck à l'orange with roast potatoes and an orange sauce. Nice creamy vegetable Wellington, that.
Thank you. That looks delicious. Surf and turf. Beautifully plated.
I wonder what I ordered today.
I wonder what you ordered today. Would it be snails by any chance?
Cheers.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Let me get out my magnifying glass. What have you got there? You do need to push it close because I can barely see it. What is that one?
Secretly glad. I'm not that hungry tonight.
What have you got there? Seafood orzo.
And I don't know what this is like.
Very nice. What's that?
Yes, it's very rich.
Melts in the mouth.
As opposed to my fairly routine, run-of-the-mill, pan-seared sirloin steak.
We have lobster.
I see the chef is right. Oh, hello, chef. Good evening. Beef Wellington. It's a very good pastry. You know, buttery. Sometimes the pastry can be a little bit dull. Lots and lots of lashings of butter. Baked Alaska. That old cruise favourite.
You shan't mention that you just have an enormous surfing tub.
No, we'll overlook that part. Now, whenever I see lava cake, I try to order it because I think it's very important to see if it gushes out like Mount Vesuvius. A mini gusher.
Another aspect we like is some of the old cruise traditions that are still alive and kicking. We get sung to with gusto by the staff. In fact, whilst we were aboard, it was our wedding anniversary. The staff appeared with a cake, a song, and plenty of enthusiasm. At the neighbouring table, they had a birthday celebration taking place almost at the same time. Frequently on bigger ships, they just can't do this. There's too many people. It was all quite charming, and this is exactly why some people do prefer this form of classic cruising, because the staff have time for you. The ship has time for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Breakfast in the main dining room also deserves a special mention. It was good.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Starting off in a fairly meaningful way today, aren't we?
Yeah, William, look at your plate.
I always use Eggs Benedict as a benchmark, and I'm pleased to report Celebrity passed this test quite comfortably.
Ooh, look at that.
The menu is extensive, service is efficient, and it provides a calmer alternative to heading up to the buffet for breakfast. How do we rate the main dining room? Well, for quality of cuisine, I would say it was consistently quite good. I'm going to rate the main dining room 8 out of 10. The surroundings are elegant and the service is good. But before I move on from the main dining room, I do want to give you a tip, and this is quite an important one. Like a lot of cruise lines, Celebrity gives you a choice of either fixed time dining, where you pick the same slot every night, or any time when you can literally just tip up to the restaurant and take your luck. We opted for fixed, and I tell you, we were very glad we did. And I would strongly suggest you consider fixed dining as well, because on several evenings when we left the dining room, we walked past the anytime section and there were queues and lines out the door, sometimes round the corridor. On occasions, some people were getting a little bit fidgety, a bit disappointed at the wait time. So if I were you, I would think very carefully and possibly pick fixed time dining. Now, if you're staying one of the more premium cabin categories, you have a couple more choices available to you. Let's go through them. First off, you have Blu. Here it is. This is the dedicated restaurant for Aqua Class guests. I think it's quite a pretty venue with striking blue colours. As it's smaller, it offers a slightly more intimate dining experience. The menu here focuses on lighter, wellness-inspired dishes. Then at the very top of the dining hierarchy, you have Luminae. This is the exclusive restaurant for suite guests. It's smaller, more refined, and offers an elevated menu that's generally considered some of the best dining aboard. Luminae is undoubtedly one of the major perks, and it's a nice-looking restaurant.
By the way, Ritzy Travel Guide is on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to know what we're up to in real time, you can follow us around the world on both of these. You'll see what we're trying out, the countries we visit, and behind the scenes. The channel name is the same as here, Ritzy Travel Guide for Instagram and Ritzy Travel Guide 1 for Facebook. And I'll also put the address down in the description box for this video. So follow along with us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you in those.
So the buffet and casual dining, I'll show you a bit later, and I do have something to say about that. Wait till we get on to that subject. But first, should we take a look at cabins? We haven't looked at those yet. So for us, we booked a sea view. Why not a balcony? That might be the first thing you ask. You're on a splendid itinerary. Why didn't we book a balcony? Well, the honest answer is we did try to. Millennium spends a significant part of the year sailing around Japan, and these itineraries are extremely popular. Often we found out these are booked months, sometimes years in advance, such is the demand to go on this particular itinerary. And I tell you what, having done it, I can now understand why. And in our upcoming video to our cruise diary, we will show you exactly why we enjoyed it so much. It is one of the most interesting cruise itineraries we've experienced for quite some time. I tell you what, the sailorways in Japan are something else. The whole town comes out to wave you off, sometimes with a marching band, and they sing to you as you sail out. It was incredibly emotional. We started to tear up.
Absolutely top-notch, heartwarming hospitality.
It is, isn't it? You'll want to see that episode. Remember to be subscribed to our channel so you know when that episode comes out. Back to our cabin, and despite initially wanting a balcony, we came to love our little ocean view cabin.
I'll give you the full cabin tour in our next video too, but just to give you a brief rundown now on how the cabin looks and feels, we think they've done a good job in the 2019 renovation.
Because whilst there's no disguising the fact that the underlying structure dates back more than 25 years, the cabin itself doesn't feel particularly old.
It brings it all up to date, much closer to modern cruise standards. And that huge circular porthole is quite the feature. I'll show you more of that in a moment, but by and large the cabin is done nicely in neutral tones and it feels airy. We think the designers did a good job working with a 26-year-old cabin and giving it a makeover.
It feels cozy, compact and cozy.
The refit also brings electrics up to date. For example, they've got table lamps with integral USB and dual voltage supplies. We all need USBs. As for storage, it's really quite good. There was sufficient hanging and storage space for us. They have put in a brand new flat screen TV and made it interactive in line with new ships, so you can catch your movies, see your count, see your location, the typical onboard e-content. And the bathroom has also received a makeover. It's not huge, but it does look nice. If you were to close your eyes, reopen them, you could easily be on a brand new ship. This one looks very similar to recent offerings from Celebrity and the other cruise lines. Shower cubicle is okay. If you're tall, you should be fine. There is no power shower, but there is a glass door. We've seen a lot of modernized ships and the bathrooms on those haven't been converted as well as this one has. It's a little bit petite, a little bit small, but it's a job well done. Within a few hours, we were totally won over by this porthole sea view cabin.
I tell you what, I'm coming round to this porthole because there's the thing everybody says, oh, you haven't got a balcony, you must automatically book a balcony. We couldn't this sailing because it was full, but I'm being won over. It's nice and quiet and it gives a lot of natural light. It's nice. So much more enjoying being low down, and everybody thinks, oh, you shouldn't be low down, that's the cheaper cabins. But sometimes, I tell you what, best view, lower down.
You can't hear the lifeboats, you can't hear the engine, you hear nothing.
It's a long time since I've had a porthole cabin, but I tell you what, I'm enjoying this one.
Isn't it?
Sometimes things work out surprisingly well. Hadn't thought about booking a porthole cabin, always think about booking a balcony, and it's elegant. Mrs. Ritzy even discovered a little internal ledge, put a cushion there, and declared it the most comfortable window seat ever. As the sun set each evening, we made a point to rest there and watch the scenery go by.
For us, the cabin earns a solid 8 out of 10.
Sometimes a cheaper cabin in an older ship can end up quite the surprise attraction.
Right, should we take a look at the buffet? To some people, this is one of the most important sections of the review. Forget the theatre, forget the lounges, forget the swimming pools. People say, tell me about the buffet. I say it performs reasonably well. Let's start off with the venue itself. No, it's not quite as eye-catching as the recent Edge-class ships. It doesn't jump out at you architecturally, but it covers most of the bases. It's large, very large in fact. Importantly, they aren't just simply repeating the same offerings each side.
And just about all cuisines are catered for. Celebrity is rightly known for its buffets. You've got everything from Mediterranean, which has a good selection of meats and vegetables. There were also other European offerings too, as well as a carvery section, different types of that. And we often get asked about vegan, so I made a point to film this. Each day there are vegan choices, including desserts. And of course, there are various themed lunches and dinners throughout the cruise in the buffet. On one day, there was an American-themed event with pulled porks, burgers, and desserts in the most radioactive colours you could imagine. There is a full Asian stir-fry corner with fires and flames. And Celebrity is also known for its seafood buffet on the last sea day at lunchtimes. There were lines out the door for the shrimp. And also there was a chocolate buffet. I'll show you more of this in video 2 because it was quite the star attraction.
It's quite a work of art what they're creating there. It's like a garden of chocolate.
Ooh! Chocolate fountain! Look at that! It's a naughty fountain, isn't it? Yes, we must have some of that immediately, on an emergency basis. It was almost like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Rivers of molten liquid chocolate.
Overall, I'm going to give the buffet
8 out of 10. Hang on, you might say, why not 9 or 10? It does look good. Well, I have an observation on this. Where was the Japanese food? This particular cruise for 6 months of the year cruises round Japan. And we always like cruises where they feature the food of the destination you're going to. But there was little to no Japanese food on the buffet. Now, I know we're not all Japanese eaters, but a lot of people on board were quite cross about this. They said, yes, you can have it when you're ashore. When you go to land, you can buy your Japanese food. But some people wanted more of it on the ship itself, specifically in the buffet. Sadly, it was lacking. So for that reason, we're going to give it an 8 out of 10, and we're going to stick to it.
Okay, about to give you our final summary and verdict, and also that comparison of the Millennium class with the Edge class. But there's a couple of areas we haven't covered yet. Let's quickly tick those boxes off. First, let's talk about what specialty dining options there are. There are 3 of them aboard. The first is Sushi on 5, and as the name suggests, this is Celebrity's Japanese venue, serving sushi, sashimi, and a range of other Asian-inspired dishes. Pricing is not fixed, and you're charged per item. It depends on what you order. Next up is the outlet called Cuisine, also known as Le Petit Chef. They have these on multiple Celebrity ships. They've got one here as well. It's a bit of a sights and sounds experience because there is a projector above each table. Before each course, a tiny animated little chef appears on your table and effectively guides you through the meal. It sounds slightly bizarre, and it is. It's okay, it's a bit of a gimmick, but some people like it. Next up is Tuscan Grill. This is Celebrity's Italian steakhouse. Menu is packed with Italian favourites, such as handmade pasta, steaks, and seafood. This outlet is open for lunch and dinner, so you'll have 2 cracks of the whip. Before we leave the food discussion altogether, I do want to mention one of our favourite venues on any Celebrity ship, and that's Cafe Al Bacio. In fact, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you'll know we're rather fond of it. It is one of Celebrity's signature venues. The coffee is good, the cakes are good, and people love it because of the atmosphere.
And I tell you what, if you see my wife, you haven't seen me. I've been nowhere near here. I had absolutely no blueberry muffins whatsoever. Thank you.
Throughout the day, it's so popular. Guests stopping for coffee, meeting friends, watching the world go by. In many ways, it becomes the unofficial living room of the ship.
If somebody says, did I order both of those? No, it was not me. They came by accident.
Guys, this is an example of something that Celebrity has been getting right for years. The venue isn't special because it's old, it's special because it's designed around people. Now, for that reason, I'm going to give Cafe Al Bacio 9 out of 10.
So, having eaten all those guilt-ridden calories, you might want to do some exercise. Well, my wife is more likely than I am to do some of that. You could head off to the Health and Fitness Centre.
There are treatment rooms, relaxation areas. It's nothing revolutionary, but it's there. Then there is the fitness centre. The gym itself is surprisingly impressive, has a good range of cardio equipment, all positioned with excellent views to the sea. It's bright, spacious, and well equipped. Loving the views outside, some gyms on other cruise lines, they tuck the gym away. It's like it's in a dungeon or a hideous corner. This one has a great aspect. Then we have the casino. Now, for some guests, this is an important part of the cruise holiday. For others, it's simply somewhere you walk through. Millennium's Casino is a fairly traditional affair. I'm a casino fan. I expect most of what you want is here. So what do we make of the Millennium? Would we recommend it? Well, let's just remind ourselves of the scores.
The look and the feel we gave 8, pools and decks 9, entertainment also an 8, lounges and bars 9, the main dining room we gave 8, as was the cabin and the buffet, and at the end, Cafe al Bacio 9.
Now those aren't the scores of a ship that's merely surviving. Those are the scores of a ship that's getting a lot of things right. Some of the cruise lines we rate do very well in some aspects, but quite poorly in others. Not here with the Millennium, it's very consistent across the board. Because that is the question we asked right at the beginning of this review. Why are these older ships still being run by the cruise lines when they keep saying that the modern ones are better? Because in their obsession to keep churning out the new ships, we forget that the older existing ones are still doing things remarkably well. Indeed, we covered exactly that aspect in a review we did last year when we were aboard Crystal Cruises. Now, they have some of the most luxurious experiences at sea, but their ships are even older than Millennium. One of them is 25 years old and the other is 35 years old. Yet Crystal has one of the highest repeat booking statistics in the entire cruise business. If you haven't watched that 2-part video series on Crystal, please do after this, because it's one of our favourite cruises we've taken in the past couple of years. So it goes to show that many people rate the experience on a ship much more significantly than just how new it is. And it's the same point here with Celebrity and their Millennium class of ships. People don't just necessarily want new for the sake of being new. You don't just book ships like this because they're old, you book them because they offer a different style of cruising. Now, some people might be saying, okay, that sounds great, but what about that promised comparison between the Millennium class and the Edge class? Let's go through that. Do we personally prefer the Millennium class over the Edge class? No, I wouldn't say that. We would still personally prefer and choose the Edge class. But the gap is smaller than you might think, and for some people, the Millennium might be a better bet. Let me go through why I say that. Firstly, itinerary. For us, itinerary trumps almost everything else. The Edge class simply just doesn't visit some of the destinations the other ships in their fleet do. And if a ship is taking me somewhere I desperately want to go to, that ranks very significantly to us. Secondly, dining. If food is a major part of your cruise experience, then the Edge class does have an advantage. The 4 main dining rooms offer totally different cuisine to each other, and the expanded specialty dining program and the wider choice of menus does give it the victory in that aspect.
A couple of other considerations and differences to take into account. If you tend to book a balcony, the Edge class have this odd variant called an infinite veranda. Almost all their cabins have these, the half balcony and half sunroom. There's no truly outdoor deck area, it's more of a window. People either love or hate these. You also have to take into account the numbers. How many fellow passengers? Millennium has about 2,200 max, whereas Edge class has 3,000, so that's about 32% more, but it is dispersed over a bigger ship. Entertainment and stage shows, if you like them lively, there's 2 different venues on Edge, so there are more choices, more options.
Thirdly, let's consider atmosphere, and this is where things become interesting. Edge class is more modern, it's more innovative, it's more visually impressive. The bars are flashier, the theatre is more technologically advanced. But Millennium does offer something different. It's a bit more calm.
And if you're looking for that classic style mid-size ship with almost no children, no gimmicks, no flash, the Millennium is probably exactly what you're looking for. And with the 2019 update, it's looking remarkably good for its age. Much of the competition completely neglect their older ships. Not here.
So overall, yes, we personally prefer the Edge class, but I have absolutely no hesitation in recommending the Millennium. And over the 12 nights of cruising, we met several people who said they preferred this more classic, calmer version of cruising. But all this being said, there is a third option. Well, what about the Solstice class? This was built between the Millennium and Edge generation, so the ship sits neatly between them. In many ways, they're a bridge between Celebrity's past and present. Even more interestingly, it's going to be soon heading to the Asian destinations that was the reason why we booked this trip on the Millennium, including Japan, which brings us neatly to the final part of this story, Our next video, The Cruise Diary, is all about the journey. On those 12 nights, we sailed from Tokyo through Japan and onto Korea. We visited some extraordinary places along the way, places that surprised us, fascinated us, and on more than one occasion moved us to tears. If that cruise diary is available, you'll see it here now. If not, please come back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, we have several other videos on our channel you can watch here, and we look forward to seeing you in one of those now. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ritzy Travel Guide. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us.